Agentic commerce is as fundamentally altering to how things are going to be purchased as e-commerce was. Your next million paying users probably won't be human beings. They'll be initiated by agents. Chances are you're just going to give them the middle finger, which is in our industry is a 403 error, right? And so that 403 error, the whole internet can actually treat these agents as first-class citizens. And if you're early on that, that's going to be huge for your customer generation and then monetization.
Today's guest is Craig DeWitt, co-founder of Skyfire, the payments and identity network that lets AI agents sign up, authenticate, and pay without human help. Skyfire raised $8.5 million seed round, runs on USDC with 2 to 3% take rate, and already powers agent-driven spend for companies like Denso and Payman. Craig previously helped build Ripple's enterprise payments, processing to $50 billion during his time there. And now he's shipping KYA, Know Your Agent, with Ori, so agents become real, verified customers. This is the business layer for the agent economy, and you should check this out. Hey everyone, welcome to Homebase AI, another episode today with Craig DeWitt. He's building Skyfire. Craig, this thing is quite complex. At least it was complex to me. Could you explain to me, what are you building? Who is it for? What problem does it solve?
Yeah. So Skyfire gives AI agents and AI platforms identity and payment capabilities. It's like, what does that mean? Well, in today's world, there's a big problem with agents being able to go out and actually get things done. So like, first off, agents try to access a website, they get blocked. Agents try to hit an API they don't have access to, they get blocked. They need API keys. Like it's requires humans at every step today. And so with Skyfire, agents and agent platforms have these identities that they can pass through to the services they need to get access for. And what Skyfire does is we have a platform that allows these, what we call agent buyers, to pay for things and access things. And on the other side, merchants who want to act like agents or first-class citizens use our software to accept payment and to accept identity of agents as actual users.
Sounds interesting. Can you tell me, like, how did you come up with this idea?
Yeah, so I have a long background in payments. And, the first thing that struck me was this was a couple years ago, I think 2 years ago, when the lawsuits started flying against these LLMs. So OpenAI was sued by, I think it was New York Times, and there was a variety of these things going on. And it really dawned on me that these software platforms, these agentic software platforms, are gonna have to pay for things. They're not just gonna be able to get access for free forever. And so the initial concept was really around, well, instead of just scraping content and including it in the LLM, the agents need a way of actually paying to access that. And what we found very quickly is that the world is much bigger than just paying for content online. Agents need access to APIs. Agents need access to services like booking a reservation on your behalf, David. How does your agent get access to Yelp to be able to book, that dinner reservation? It can't today unless you create a Yelp account. And so what the future that we see is agents being able to hit those services, signing up on your behalf, and in some cases making payments to be able to actually access that service.
Again, like, sounds interesting. So like, who is your customer? Like, who's going to use this, or who's using it currently? Like, what are some of the use cases? If you can share that would be great.
Yeah. Well, there's a ton. And so we're starting on like the merchant side or the seller side. Mm-hmm. A big problem today is, going back to that initial point, agents and AI platforms are not first-class citizens of the internet. Mm-hmm. So if you've built an agent or using agent to kind of crawl the internet and try to access a website, chances are that you're going to get blocked. And so the reason you're going to get blocked is because there's a bot blocker that sits there and says, hey, this isn't a human accessing my site. I'm going to tell them no. And so we've signed a number of big partnerships with those bot blockers who are now accepting this form of identity as a way of allowing agents into the websites. And then on top of that, in some cases, these content providers actually want to charge money, in some cases a fraction of a cent, in some cases more, for the bot to actually access the website. And so those websites now have a way of monetizing these agents that are trying to crawl their site with Skyfire. And so that's really what, web security space where we've seen a lot of excitement. The other place we've seen is, you may have heard of MCP servers. MCP servers is just like a great way of packaging up APIs so agents can understand the service and automatically connect in and integrate to that service. Well, there's a big problem. Look at any MCP server. Agents can find them, But if you read an MCP server, first thing says, visit my website, type in your information, maybe swipe a credit card, get an API key, put your API key into the agent. Everybody's done that flow before. That completely breaks an agentic workflow, right? And so a lot of our services as well, what they'll do is using Skyfire via an MCP server, they'll allow the agent to deliver an identity. And that identity allows that service to say like, okay, I'm going to create a user in my existing IAM platform and deliver back existing auth so the agent can hit my services on the fly. And so in that case, if you have MCP servers or you have a product that's available via MCP, using Skyfire, you can now allow agents to create accounts on the fly and access those services without needing a human in the loop.
Makes sense. So are you guys targeting enterprise at all? Just curious.
Yeah. So a big distribution aspect of what we do is going out and getting the platforms that have a number of developers and agent developers live on Skyfire. And so the process today is Skyfire allows individual developers and builders and enterprises to come directly to Skyfire to sign up and then give your agents access to an identity and a payment capability. The enterprise play, though, is let's say there's a big developer platform. There's a bunch of them. You can think of a name of those. Their users, as being on that platform, having access to the Skyfire capabilities of payment and identity without having to interact directly with Skyfire. And so we're an enabler for those big development platforms just out of the box.
Got it. Can you help me understand how your product works a little bit in the sense I try to use it, and so I see that you have buyers and sellers. Like, who are the buyers? Who are the sellers? Like, how do those two things connect?
Yeah, the buyer is a agent that has a balance or in the future access to a tokenized credit card.
Okay.
And so this would be an agent that needs to go out and essentially accomplish tasks. And so that could be your personal shopping agent that's going to go try to pay at Nordstrom's for you. It could be a web intelligence agent that needs to access a bunch of websites. It could be a builder that's building an agent that, books reservations or acquires data for a deep research flow. Anything that needs to go out and actually acquire assets or digital resources is on the buy side. The sell side is any digital resource that wants to accept agents as paying customers. And those span everything from websites that serve content. So think about any publisher that comes to mind that doesn't want to be scraped for free. Those are marketplaces. So a great marketplace example is like Appify, who's a Skyfire launch partner. Appify has a bunch of tools that agents can use on the fly. It also has a marketplace of other agents. Agents can come in and pay for those. And then a variety of other partners. Like we have a partnership with Forder, which is really the fraud and risk management for retail sites as a way of allowing agents into retail sites to understand what the product catalog looks like and then actually complete a headless checkout.
Got it. Okay. We've actually, because I own a technical talent marketplace, so we work with a bunch of engineers who've used Appify actually to scrape data or build products for other companies where they're scraping data. Tell me how the Appify thing works. Like, how do you guys integrate with them? I'm just curious, who gets paid out? Where does the money go when someone, scrapes can you explain to me? I'm 5 years old.
Yeah. So there's a two-part problem in payments. And this took me about 8 years of working on cross-border payments to really crystallize. And that is value transfer, which is your question, is tough, but identity might even be the harder part of facilitating a payment. You need to know who it is. And so the first step of any transaction is for the agent to programmatically be able to deliver information, not on its machine identity, but on the principal. So that is the business or the user that it's acting on behalf of. So how does that work? Skyfire has a KYA product, what we call, for folks in the payment business usually get that, but you have KYB, know your business, you have KYC, know your customer. We call it KYA, know your agent. And that's one where Skyfire onboards the business or the user behind the agent, and we create a registry of validated information. So think first name, last name, verified email, phone number, address, any kind of information that the user is willing to verify with Skyfire. Now, what that agent can do is when it hits an API that is blocked, the agent can call Skyfire and say, hey, give me the fields of information that this service requires. So like, give me a validated email and my first name and phone number. And what Skyfire does is we deliver back a standardized token. It's just a normal web token called a JWT, which is like an envelope that has a bunch of information in it. And what that agent can do with that envelope is it can directly pass it to the service. And like, let's say Appify accepts that. They see that it's Craig DeWitt. They create an account for Craig DeWitt, and then they deliver back standard authentication to the agent. That's important because now the agent can use standard auth into Appify to be able to see the agents that are available for scraping, right? So now you can hit the APIs. What agents do I actually want to scrape? Okay, now you found a LinkedIn scraping agent. It's like, what do? You have to pay. Well, a human's not in the loop. You haven't swiped your credit card or done credits there, so now you actually need to facilitate a payment. It's a similar flow. So the agent has a pre-funded wallet on Skyfire. That could be funded with a credit card or a debit card or ACH or wired in, but we hold stablecoins. And that agent has access to stablecoins. And it calls Skyfire and says, hey, give me a payment token of $5. Skyfire holds $5 in that agent's wallet. We give a same JWT token to the agent that the agent can pass over to Appify as part of an existing API request, along with the auth. So Appify sees the existing auth and they say, okay, I know who this user is. Here's a $5 token from Skyfire. They do a single API call to Skyfire, says charge token. They have the $5, and now they're able to complete the agent activity. Appify manages everything in terms of like payouts to the individuals on that, but you really get to see like now you have a one-to-one relationship of agents going out, finding, paying for other agents after authenticating.
So basically, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong here, but you guys give credit cards to AI agents so they can access things that are otherwise blocked off to them unless they pay for it, right? Is that fair?
That's correct.
Okay.
And not just credit cards. So
Okay.
the credit cards there's this amazing thing happening within the space right now is that the credit card networks are moving very quickly towards identity and payment tokenization. So Visa and MasterCard are going to allow their payments, going to allow their cards to be tokenized so agents can actually transact with them. We can manage all the credit card information for agent and agent developers so the agents have access to those credit cards. Now, the credit card stuff is not live yet, publicly live. And so everything that Skyfire does is because we had to do it from scratch. We weren't going to wait for the networks. Everything we do today is based on stablecoins. And so the agents have USDC, which is a stablecoin in a wallet, and we facilitate almost exactly like a credit card transfer of USDC from one wallet into a merchant's wallet. But you can think about the future where it's like agents are going to, in some cases, need to pay with USDC because if it's a 5-cent scrape of a LinkedIn profile, you can't do that with a credit card. But in other cases, agents are going to pay with a credit card. If you're buying those Louboutin shoes from Nordstrom's, that's most likely going to be with a credit card today. And then also working on some stuff with account transfers as well. But it all fits within the same envelope. That's the key piece. It all fits within the same envelope. So agents don't have to worry about like filling out UI forms and figuring out how to like the tokenization piece is really the revolutionary aspect of how the identity and these various payment methods are being delivered to merchants.
Got it. And so you just said that Visa and MasterCard are going to do this. Like, why are they doing this? Help me understand that part.
Agentic commerce is as fundamentally altering to how things are going to be purchased as e-commerce was. And so there's an immediate understanding that with the advent of AI and agents, the way the internet works is fundamentally changing. You can see that today. The interface for the internet is now LLMs and is these agentic interfaces. And so the way people buy things is fundamentally changing as well. And so the card companies and the payment companies and Skyfire realize that, and we're gearing up to allow the payment methods to be accessible by this new user group, not humans, but these AI agents and platforms.
Like, so how do you see the future? I mean, like every time I talk to a founder in the AI space, I'm like, oh my God, the next 10 years are going to be completely different. It's like everything's changing. So how do you see, like, I mean, where am I going to find an AI agent who's going to be like my assistant, who can go shopping on Nutstrom or like any other, like maybe Hotwire? Like, is there service providers that are going to do that, or is Hotwire or Priceline going to offer something like this? They're going to have their own agents. Like, where do you see this industry going? Like, tell me more about like this new e-commerce, agentic e-commerce. I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, so all sides of the equation will change, like both of those parties. So you and the interface that you use is going to fundamentally change, and then the merchants and what they offer is going to fundamentally change as well. Let's start with the buyer and the buyer intent. So what we're seeing already is that over time, Google search is resulting in less direct web traffic to the websites. Why is that? Well, it's like, if you're in this podcast, you're in the AI space, but chances are, like, maybe your parents or your grandparents aren't. They might be doing less Google searches. If they've discovered ChatGPT, they're probably asking questions directly to ChatGPT. So the method with which we interact with the internet has changed. It's now not directly through Google in a browser, but really happening more through an LLM interface. So that is one aspect of how the internet's going to be accessed. Is you'll probably have a personalized interface through an LLM, kind of like a ChatGPT, to kind of get access to the web. At the same time, though, there's a ton of startups trying to really crack the code in being your personal data researcher or your personal shopper. And so chances are you may have a couple applications on your phone that'll do specific things for you that know about your preferences and are able to go out and execute those for you. Over time, though, I think the entire interface of like even how we access our phones change, because AI is smart enough to come up with the interfaces that work best for you. And so in that future, there's not a million apps. There's really one app that knows everything about you and is changing its format and the way it exposes information directly based on your preferences. And so that is really on the buy side. On the sell side, what's really interesting is like, how is that agent and how are those interfaces going to access the services that you need? Whether that's data, content, news, or, or buying shoes. The debate is really, is it going to happen via today's internet of like web browsers, or is this going to be an API enabled web? And the jury's still out on that. Like there will definitely, of course, still be websites that agents are traversing. But with the advent of things like MCP, APIs are a much more elegant way for agents to be able to access and understand content and facilitate payments. Like there will also be agents sometimes that the marketplaces and the merchants put in front of those APIs. But that is being reworked as we speak. And you're going to see more and more APIs be accessed by agents while they're also just trying to like crawl the website.
Yeah, sounds crazy where things are headed, but yeah, I'm ready for it. I guess. Let me just digest everything that you said. So, what we talked about stable coins a little bit. Like, where do you think crypto, or like just where do you think crypto is headed? Like, I mean, it seems like for a long time there was like no like really great use cases that were popping up, or at least a lot of people complain that there's no adoption, but it sounds like there is, right? Like you guys are using it together, and like, I mean, I see Bitcoin going up. Tell me a little bit more about like where things stand with crypto right now, crypto, or just like stable coins, the whole industry.
Yeah. So one aspect of crypto that has absolutely hit just product market fit is the use of stable coins. So a stable coin is a digital asset that represents a dollar and is fully backed by a dollar, hopefully, right? In some account. And the big ones are they do a pretty good job of actually making that transparent. So what's amazing about stable coins is that it democratizes access to having an account. Like David, we were talking before, like it is not easy for a lot of people to be able to get access to US dollars. And just beyond the access, the instantaneous transferability at essentially a zero cost across borders makes stablecoins an incredible technology for money movement. And I'll give an example of that I think fundamentally interfaces so well with AI agents and commerce. So it's like, historically, there has been a lower limit in terms of transaction sizes that can be done. And that's because if you try to buy something with a credit card today, the credit card company and the entire infrastructure that supports that is going to charge 35 cents plus 2% on top of it. So what that means is if you do a 1 penny transaction, you actually end up owing 29 cents. Like it doesn't work for these like microtransactions. Stablecoins are amazing because if an agent needs to go out and get a very specific piece of information or a single API call or access a single website, you can now do transactions globally for a fraction of a cent. And that to me is like the magic of what stablecoins can power in an agentic framework.
Yeah, like sometimes like I forget about the crypto stuff. I'm like, I don't know, like whenever things happen. But like, I have friends, or not friends, yeah, some of the developers that work with our platform. So some of the developers that work on our platform, they live in Bolivia, Argentina, and they're deep on crypto stuff. It looks like the adoption is there. Like they can pull out money in any supermarket, stuff like that. Especially like in countries where the currency is destabilized, it's a big deal. So why did you guys? And then is that, I'm guessing like that's the reason why you guys chose that as a option to kind of like fund your accounts for Skyfire?
Yeah, the reason we chose that is we had no other choice. There was no way, and there's actually, as of today, there's still no other way to allow agents to make payments or hold balances. And so until the credit card companies make public the card tokenization, agents can't really manage credit cards. They can't hold that information for a variety of reasons. They can't input it to a merchant. You're not going to be able to do an ACH transfer on demand to these services. And so there's actually no way to give agents access to accounts without using stablecoins. And so that's a big reason why we started. And the additional benefits you have on it is, in a future of agent to agent payments and agent to content payments, there's no other value transfer mechanism in the world today that can support peer-to-peer transactions for a fraction of a penny, which is a big use case in what we think is going to be a brand new market forming around agents.
Makes sense. And so, I mean, are you finding how would someone fund the account? Like, do they need stable coins, and do you find that as like a difficult proposition to your customers? Like for me, for example, like it's not easy to fund it's easy to fund my Coinbase account, but there's so many coins. Like some of them drive me to this wallet, and still like a little difficult for me to like trade crypto the way some people make it sound like it's so easy to do. Like it's not easy for me to trade like random, I don't know, crypto coins, stable coins. Like it's not easy. I have access to Coinbase, but everything else I feel like is still difficult. And so you guys are using stablecoin. Like, how does that work? Like, who's going to fund that account? Tell me a little bit.
Yeah, well, David, I think most of your audience that's like strictly AI has probably turned off the podcast by now, because there's a ton of animosity between I think AI and crypto. More so than I think if you took a sample of like normal developers. And this is my background from Ripple. The entire business model there was really around obfuscating all the hard, crappy parts of crypto and just delivering the value prop.
Okay.
People love to hear the value props without like having to hear about like sometimes the mess that is crypto. And so we obfuscate everything, which means no, you don't have to bring crypto to Skyfire for your account. We allow folks to fund their wallet by a credit card, or a debit card, or an ACH, or a wire. We handle all of it, right? You're just looks like you're funding a bank account, right? Or funding a digital wallet.
Yeah.
And the balance that we have is a USD balance that your agent now has access to. And then on the flip side of that, for the merchants, when they receive USDC in their wallets, when it's time for payout, they get ACH'd or SEPA or wired directly into their bank. And so there's really no concept of like having to deal with like getting on chain or doing trades or something like that. I manage all of that. And the value I'm able to give is, well, anywhere in the world, you can do an instantaneous, zero cost transaction. People like that.
Okay, got it. Yeah. So, I mean, you described like you had this aha moment when you noticed that companies were getting sued, who were, or AI companies that were accessing data for free, basically, were getting sued. But like, how did you guys get your first few customers? Like, how did you convince someone that like, hey, this is the right solution? Like what was that? What did that look like? Just curious.
Yeah. So we launched the product. We launched the product last August. So we've been like, we built it for a while, but now we've been out for about 10 months. And to be honest, my co-founder and I, when we launched this, we didn't think people were going to get it or like not care. The amount of media pickup we got, the amount of signups that we got was just intense, way more than you would have expected. And so a lot of it was initially inbound, and the inbound came a lot from developers, and the developers were like, "Hey, I'm building an AI, I'm experimenting with these things, I'm building really cool stuff, but like, how do I monetize this?" And that was a huge aperture. And so that's really where we started building with just immediate developers. And as we learned more about some of their monetization problems and the need to allow agents to check out, that really allowed us to go to marketplaces and to content providers and start signing these what we call sellers to accept agents as customers as well. And so that was really the flywheel that started taking off for us.
Got it. And so you just said content providers. Like, what's the use case there? Like, can I use your product to not have people steal this podcast that we're creating?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And so our partnerships on the stolen content or fair use content really are us linking up with those bot protection providers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I imagine that you have a bot protection provider right now. And we partner with a lot of them. And so what you could do is with them, you can simply turn on in your console, monetize my content.
Mm-hmm.
And some of your podcasts, might not be that valuable. It's like a, $1 or $2 to allow an agent in. For this podcast, it's a very valuable podcast because of your guest, and our conversations. That might be a $10 podcast.
Right.
And what happens is the agent will try to, the agent or the crawler will try to hit your website and they'll get blocked.
Mm-hmm.
And what they'll get delivered is an error response that says you need a Skyfire account in order to pay for this content. The user logs in, they go through the KYA process, they fund the account. The agent come back and will deliver your bot blocker a token. Charge it, it goes right into your bank account.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, it's making sense. I mean, so yeah, we just launched another website that's a separate product, but it's like a database for, investors. And literally, I mean, no one knows about it, but somehow we got like 15,000 signups and someone's trying to crawl the website. And so we have to install all these things.
Yes.
So yeah, we might have to think about using your solution. It sounds like it's like a ramp, like a huge problem out there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do that with our website, but we're developing stuff, so we're going to keep a track on this.
Yeah. Well, the data business is a place where we've had a ton of success as well. And so we're working with a number of data providers that have historically only sold to Wall Street, who they see this massive gold rush of these agents and these AI companies that now need access to hit financial APIs. Your investor database sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have APIs that allow access to that, you've already gotten hit by crawlers. You don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know who that agent is, who they represent, and you want them to pay to be able to access. And that's what Skyfire does.
Makes a lot of sense. Sounds good. So, I mean, I guess like, like in order, like you guys got some kind, some investment here. Like, how did you paint this into $1 billion opportunity to the investors, right? Like, I'm assuming if you have some VC funding, that's what they're looking for. Like, how I can already tell that this is a huge market, but like, how did you extrapolate like what you're dealing with today with where this is going tomorrow, basically?
Yeah. We've been very lucky with investors, and I think that the process was really was twofold. I think I'm very lucky to be working with a guy named Amir Sarhangi. His last company, Jibe, was what was sold to Google and is the foundation of Android Messenger. So you can blame him for like the green dots in the green bubbles in iPhone. Although Apple has taken his protocol too, this RCS thing. So that pedigree, and then I think my background is 8 years of building payments at Skyfire. That pedigree is what got us in the door, and I think allowed the investors to take this crazy idea of agents making payments seriously. And then really, like, I think what painted the idea was going to investors who really believed early on that there was a future in AI and could see how transformative it would be, not just in the interface and how we interact with technology, but in how it was going to fundamentally change commerce. And then it's really easy. It's like, if you believe that this is going to fundamentally change the way we interface, and you can see the problems with payments and that like typing your credit card into a UI goes away when there's an agent, there needs to be a way of facilitating payments of all types. And like, you put those things together with at least, the backgrounds that my co-founder and I have, that's really what allowed us to be successful in the fundraising. That and the rest of the team we had assembled and all those kind of things.
Okay, sounds good.
And some good looking slides.
Yeah. So okay, sounds good. Just trying to think here, like in terms of like, I mean, it sounds like the AI economy is going to completely shift here. And you mentioned like, like Visa, MasterCard are also going this way. Like, when do you see that like this big shift will happen? And then, yeah, are we gonna see changes like where like I'm gonna start using AI agents to book my flights in the next 1 year, in the next 10 years? Like, what's your prediction there?
Yeah. The speed of development, in the AI space has been incredibly fast, and it's compounding. And so I would have given an answer 6 months ago differently. I would have given an answer 3 months differently. Um, I will say, like, just the concept of agentic commerce, meaning like a human not having to explicitly put in transaction details to complete a payment, that is happening now, and the inbound that Skyfire is getting is intense. And so within a year, I am guessing that folks like yourself will be completing agentic commerce payments. Maybe not as your most dominant form of e-commerce payments, but it will be essentially share of your wallet. And that share of wallet, just like e-commerce versus in-store payments, is going to only increase. And that's really where Skyfire sees the opportunity of providing solutions both so for your agent to be able to identify that it's you on the other side securely in a compliant fashion, and then also being able to move the money with a payment.
So, question to you: I know when like I know a little bit about how KYC works. I know there's KYC providers in terms of like the software products, and they'll like you can integrate those into your different banking products and whatnot. But you guys developed your own KYA product. Is that like, am I understanding that correctly?
Yes. So what KYA is, it's a mix of things.
Okay.
It's a mix of your standard KYB and KYC information. So that is validated fields in terms of country of origin. If you're a business, maybe a federal tax identifier. If you're an individual, name, address, like those kind of phone number, verified pieces of information. On the KYA part is that we also have an identity of the agent. And beyond just like the kind of technical identifiers, one of the things that I'm very excited about is if Skyfire is able to facilitate some of the identity and payment mechanisms, we're able to deliver a pretty good idea of that agent's behavior over a period of time as you create that transaction history. And so what we're able to do in terms of an agent identity is really give a full picture of what that agent does, how it behaves, the types of services that it uses, and then because of that, identifying aberrant behavior when an agent is doing something that seems out of the norm. And that gets in this whole other aspect of payments, which is really fraud and compliance. That is very, very difficult to do if you don't have a holistic picture of both who the machine is, as well as who the principal is, or the human being or business that's behind the agent.
Makes sense. So yeah, like in like a few years ago, we tried to build a bank for international freelancers for them to be able to open U.S. bank accounts, and there was banking as service providers, there was KYC providers. Some of them combined the two things. It sounds like there's a mix of things that you guys would need to do that here as well. Are you building all of that in-house? Like, how do you make sure that the agents that you work with don't go off the track and start spending, I don't know, all the money that your customer has or whatnot? Like, how do you manage that?
Yeah. That has come up. That was very, very early on in kind of the problem space understanding. And there's really two ways that Skyfire completes that. One is the business rules and policy that we allow developers and platforms to set. Because the agent has to ask Skyfire for a token, a payment token, or a identity token, we have the ability of checking, all right, how much is this token for? Like, what were the last payment tokens that were created? Is this within a policy that it requires a human to be in the loop? And so we have the ability of saying, essentially, no, you cannot create a token if something is out of spec, right? And so we're kind of like a brick wall when it comes to spending, in terms of at least even accessing either your stablecoins or accessing the card that you may have on file, where it's not accessible by an agent if we identify some aberrant behavior. In addition to that, one of the things we're really excited to launch is what we call just-in-time decisioning. And just-in-time decisioning is one where, based on the behavior of the agent, and again, the policy set, we're able to send notifications to the principal of that agent asking for permission on behalf of the agent. Just like, David, like, David, this your agent wants to spend over $300 on a pair of shoes. That's unique for you. Are you sure you want to allow this? And then you can either give permission asynchronously or deny it, right? And so those are the gates that we have in to where humans can be pulled into the loop, as well as like setting up essentially brick walls of policy where the agents don't have access to identity or payment information if something is out of the ordinary.
Got it. And so, how do you guys like? I was just curious. Like there was a product that popped up. I remember I was trying to use it. It allows you to set up your own agents, and my guess is that at some point, more companies are going to restrict access to AI agents that are just trying to, I don't know, make a booking or scrape data. How do you find your customers? Like, do you approach companies like that, like AI agent builders, or?
Yeah. So the place where we've had luck on the AI agent builders are if you are building an AI, if you work at an AI platform where people come in and build their agents, your users can want one of two things. One, your users want to be able to monetize that service, right? And a lot of these agents are doing things where it doesn't make sense to charge like a Stripe subscription. It's a one-off, like, I built an agent that can transcribe HTML to JSON. That's not a SaaS subscription, right? That agent needs to be able to hit via an API call and paid. So like, how do you allow out of the box your agent creations, the applications on your platform get monetized? Skyfire helps there. The other piece is like, everybody's building agents. How do you have a leg up? Well, one of the big legs up we see is agent access. How do you give this agent access to services that other agents might not have access to without like a bespoke integration? And that's really treating the agent as a buyer to go out and hit this marketplace of services that's available on Skyfire. And so like the agent platforms, like we offer both of those flavors to, and we can do that in a white label capacity. On the other side, merchants know, I can tell you this for sure, just based on my meetings today, merchants know they need an agentic commerce play. And there's currently no way for their checkout solutions to allow agents to even get in the front door to see the products, right? And so that's not even talking about checkout. And so that's a place where we're very excited because we have a ton of merchants who want to sell to those agents who are onboarding to Skyfire so they can see identity to give access and then actually accept payment.
Makes sense. Okay, so I mean, it sounds like you understand this space like deeply. Like, tell me, like, is someone making money building AI agents, like the kind that we're talking about here, where they place it into a marketplace and places, I don't know, a order for a pizza for you or whatever it is? Like, are developers making money doing this?
On Skyfire, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have a number of services that are live on our directory that other agents are programmatically finding, creating accounts at, and then paying on a per use basis. So that's live. That's live today. Okay. What I expect to see more of is really like this internet of agents and a real internet of services, to where the whole internet can actually treat these agents as first-class citizens. And if you're early on that, that's going to be huge for your customer generation and then monetization. And so, like, I would say, like, if you're an indie developer or you're building in the space, you're excited about AI, I would just change my thinking and say, like, hey, your next million users, your next million paying users probably won't be human beings. They'll be initiated by agents.
That's crazy. So I mean, do you see like a future where, like, companies are selling AI agents as, like, say, instead of virtual assistants, they're selling AI agents? Like, could we reach that point, do you think?
Absolutely. And it's, the exciting part for me of that is that I don't think there's going to be like a super like God agent that can do everything. There's going to be specialized agents with specialized access. And so there is going to be a world where, like, David, maybe your agent needs to go out and get a bunch of different services done, maybe get advice on like the best vacation place and then find a reservation and then book it. Those will all happen via different services, and some of them might be agents. And in that world, it's agents interacting with agents, just kind of like how people interact, but across the world instantaneously and for a fraction of a cent. And that gets really exciting because now you've kind of like, you've created a brand new market, a brand new economy that is really based on instantaneous identity, instantaneous payments for like agent to agent, agent to AI interactions.
The reason I ask these things, because like, I mean, and the reason I'm building this podcast is like, I'm a believer. I'm bullish on this. I own a talent marketplace, and then I've seen, some of the outsourcing companies, the kind of work they've done with, I don't know, their clients. I'm like, a lot of this stuff like AI can easily do. Like it's only a matter of time before a lot of these things that these companies offer are just not going to be needed. Like as an example, I saw, I was on an hour-long conversation, like a Zoom call, where they built a prototype of a product, starting from research all the way to launching the product in hour and a half, or maybe an hour. And so it's something that used to take, because I own an agency before. We used to do projects like that. It would take few developers, maybe like 6 months of time to build that out. Now people are doing it in an hour and a half, which is crazy. Right. And so I think something similar is going to happen with AI agents. I just personally have not yet, because I've been pitched that hey, use this AI agent to do this, but I haven't seen full workflows yet come in fruition where you can just go out there, talk to some AI agents, and it does a lot of stuff for you. Have you seen some really good use cases of AI agents, people or companies using AI agents in its full, I don't know, potential, so to say? And what are those use cases that you see?
The use cases that I see a lot of that are increasingly exciting are like lead gen. Mm-hmm. It's like sales development agents.
Right.
And when you think about what that is, it's what do they need to do? It's the agent needs to be able to go out and search LinkedIn to see all the CFOs that have left their jobs in the last 3 months. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then based off that, go out and hit the websites of each company they left to get an understanding of what the background is. Mm-hmm. And then put together a report, and then maybe even run that by I don't know, some trend analysis of what's going on in that industry, mm-hmm. as a way of generating leads for, I don't know, maybe you're a recruiter, or mm-hmm. those kind of things, like sales gen that's going out and doing that. And the place where we come in there is it's not easy to get access to LinkedIn. That is not an easy site to scrape. So mm-hmm. how do you pay to actually get the accounts? It's okay, if you want to do a trend analysis of what's going on in the industry, if it's an automotive industry, what are the actual what's the financial analysis around the car industry that might be leading to some of these changes? Well, you probably have to pay for some of the more proprietary data to do that, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. And so that's really where these agents going out and hitting these different services programmatically, mm-hmm. where there's an opportunity for payments, even in today's world.
Got it. Okay. So you just touched on something that we're experimenting with. We built an AI agent that is able to have conversation with people on LinkedIn. It's an AI recruiter, actually. And it can assess people's resumes and things like that, and create a short list of people to reach out to, and reaches out to those people who can, like I said, have a conversation. But one thing that is tricky is accessing, or scraping LinkedIn data, right? It's they don't want you doing that. If they find out, they kick you off. Do you think that will change with LinkedIn? If they're able to get paid for you to access all that data, or do you I don't know. Have you heard any rumors that they might work with a company like yours to accept payments? Just curious.
Yeah. So there's a cottage industry of startups and actually well-established companies that are doing exactly that, David. That make it programmatically easy for you to hit their APIs and get access to that information. Mm-hmm. To my understanding, the way LinkedIn does it today is they try to do these massive data deals, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So kind of deals where you white tablecloth, handshake, and sign a contract with ink. Mm-hmm. The way I think the world is going is because of the proliferation of AI scrapers, which are incredibly good. Mm-hmm. That business model is not gonna last. Mm-hmm. These things are not walled gardens anymore. Mm-hmm. And so the game becomes, it's very, very difficult to scrape, but not impossible. Mm-hmm. And so if you market your data or you sell, even at a premium to that, mm-hmm. there's a way of getting an incredibly new stream of revenue to your business that right now you're completely missing out on. Right. Mm-hmm. And so those are the kind of trends that I see happening through a variety of content providers. And it's not just content, too. It's ephemeral things like marketplace pricing, sneakers mm-hmm. on eBay. Mm-hmm. Right. or the latest Jordans on StockX. Like those are things that are being scraped right now. They're actually super valuable. And right now that money is actually getting spent on like, reverse proxying and like bouncing through these like server farms to make it look like it's a human being and not an agent.
Right.
Like the future is the agent just coming in through the front door and saying like, I represent Craig DeWitt, here's his business, let me in. And they make a decision of whether or not they want right at the CDN.
So in order for like someone to, like, for example, if I own a shoe store or whatever, so if an AI agent knocks on my door, like how would that work? Like, wouldn't you still need to, like, wouldn't someone need to reach out and say like, hey, like you need to use Skyfire, and then you'll be able to get paid to get access for the data. Like the deals still need to happen with the handshakes, right? As I understand, or how's that going to look like?
Yeah. So the flow is if any agent comes to your site today, or any like bot comes to your site today, chances are you're just going to give them the middle finger, which is in our industry is a 403 error, right? And so that 403 error really is what becomes the billboard of like, hey, you need to create an account, right? Now you need to create an account at Skyfire, or you need to follow the open protocol of identity with these tokens. And that's one thing that we really believe in, and maybe this is my crypto showing, is that the whole world will not be on a single platform for identity and payments. But it's these open protocols which really allow for ubiquity and access and scalability without being bottlenecked with like a single vendor buy-in. And so the agent can either sign up at Skyfire, or they can interoperate with the protocol directly. And in doing so, they're going to, next time they knock on their door with the existing web request via that HTTPS, in the header, there's going to be a token. And when you look inside that token, it's going to say it's Craig DeWitt, Skyfire.xyz. Are they on a block list, or do you allow them? And if I might result in a sale, so you might allow me, or you might require me to pay a millionth of a cent to cover your server costs for my access. And that's all possible with tokenized payments and identity.
Makes sense. Okay, I know we're coming up on time here. Like, last couple of questions. How do you guys leverage AI inside of Skyfire? Like, do you use AI agents at your company, like, to do some of the tasks? Like, how do you guys, what do you just like? How do you decide between? Well, first of all, yeah, if you can answer the first question, which is, do you guys use AI at your company, and how do you leverage it, to move faster?
Yeah. So we're using AI in pretty much every aspect of our company. And I would say the more we adopt it, the faster the output has been. It's been really incredible. So our engineering teams are using co-pilots and AI for coding, and we've seen just like speed go through the roof. Our business development teams are using it for sales development, for ideation. And then me on the product team is really using it to keep a view in terms of all these things working, and understand kind of like some strategic ideas and things for competitive analysis across the board. And the cool thing is they're all able to interoperate as well. And so where in the previously, like, there's been silos of information, we've set this up where there are insights that can be taken from BD, from the engineering roadmap and velocity, and vice versa. Engineering can have visibility into exactly what BD's thinking about and the kind of deals that are in the pipeline. All of it like in an automated fashion with like these reports that we're able to read. It's been incredible. And I think like instead of having a chief of staff for every single person in the company, we've been able to do that with AI.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, like same thing here. It's like we can do so much more with, like, I don't know, with like almost like no people. It's like very hard to justify hiring more. Like it's like, like you can basically, do what used to take like 10 people. Now you can do it like with 1 or 2 people, right? Like that's at least from what we see like at our company. But so sounds good. And so how do you like decide now when to leverage AI and when to hire someone? Like how does that process look like? Just curious.
Yeah, that's a great question. When there is one on the engineering side is like we have a voracious appetite for engineers, right? And so that's a place where we're always looking for top talent, really, no matter what. But in terms of like in the other aspects, if it's a role that does not require like external facing interactions with human beings, it's probably something that AI can do. right? In the non-engineering space. The places where we know we need to hire people are really on the places where it's a human being that's going to be interacting and communicating with another human being. And those are things that are really just, those are tough to scale.
I mean, have you had like cases, like at least with me, like sometimes I'm like, okay, let me kind of like delegate this to, you know, one of our people. And I'm like, you know what, like I think AI can do this a little bit better. Like do you run into things like that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the content, like putting together content, right?
Yeah.
So when I mentioned like that, the agents that we're working, I can quickly put together, like ideate on content, and then based on what's going on in the business, put together like an amazing blog and thought piece, like very, very quickly. And so those are areas where, you know, instead of working with like traditionally a PR firm or just like a content marketer, is like, no, less explanation, because this agent knows everything about me. I can just put in like what I'm broadly thinking and it spits something out. A couple iterations, like I have a great work piece there, and then have that translated into some banger tweets and you know, more of like a boomer focused LinkedIn post, you know, and then so those are the things that like that's like 15 minutes of work today, right? Which previously at my old life would have been like a couple meetings and a couple iterations, and then finding like a work product.
Yeah, no, makes sense. I mean, that's like, you know, when the AI hit, I'm like, you know what, like I always wanted to do some interesting marketing things, and here we are building a media company, and we're, I don't know, chopping things up, throwing it on YouTube.
That's right. Now think about how fast that happened, right? That has happened so fast. And so that's why I'm really excited about agentic commerce, because sometimes it can feel far away, but like the process we just talked about would have been unheard of for most people even a year ago, right?
Oh, for sure.
So it is speeding up so fast to where, you know, I think agents doing this work beyond just like what's inside the business and going outside of the business, right? That's the next frontier, right? And that's what Skyfire is really positioned to help facilitate.
Okay, well, on that note, I think you know, like we're on time here, and so how can people find you? You know, like you've already said, like, you know, who your customer is, but like how can they connect with you? Where can they find you? How can they test the solution? Well,
yeah. So you can reach out to me directly. I'm Craig, Craig, at skyfire.xyz. You can sign up today and empower your agents with payments and identity at skyfire.xyz. Just click launch Skyfire. We'll walk you through everything. That's also where you can list your services. So if there's stuff you want to sell, you can do that in a completely self-contained manner in our self-sign up for sellers there. And then if you're interested in the open protocol, kyapay.org, open sourced, implement it yourself, and, you know, in an open way, allow your agents to have identity and payments.
That's amazing. Okay, sounds good, Craig. Thanks for coming on the show. We'll, you know, probably we'll be staying in touch, because I work with a lot of developers. Probably they're gonna have some follow-up questions. I don't know. I'll post it in our channel. We'll see what comes out. But it sounds like a promising solution. Also a massive market, and learned a lot today about where things are headed. So it's always great to have guests like you on the show. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you again when your company is 10 times the size.
Thank you, David.
All right, Craig. Thank you.